Welcome to this Blackpool Music School video all about the G tuned dulcimer. But before we start, just to let you know how far in advance I shoot some of these videos, hey Google, what is today's date?
It's Friday, the 1st of September 2023.
So as you can see, I shoot some of these videos a long way in advance. For this video, you'll have need to seen the first one on Monday of this week, where I explained about the golf chord, the E minor chord, the Charlie chord and the Delta chord. So let's get started. You will often see songbooks with 3-chord songs, 4-chord songs and sometimes 2-chord songs. There are 2-chord songs. Tom Dooley is one. To play Tom Dooley, all you'll need is the G chord and the Delta chord. Golf and Delta. That's a 2-chord song. A lot of Johnny Cash and songs like that are 3-chord songs, and some songs are 4-chord songs. Now I am talking particularly pop, rock, country and music like that. Jazz does use more chords and more complicated chords, but I am talking more the stuff you're likely to hear on the radio in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, and songs up to today still obey this 4-chord trick. So for the majority of songs you're going to play in the key of G, your G chord is the chord you're going to start with because that's the key you're in. 99% of the time you will start with that G chord if you're playing a song in the key of G. Now here's a couple of rough variations. Like I said, Tom Dooley is G and D, G and D. Some Johnny Cash songs would feature 3 chords. In this case it would be G, C and D. There is a chord progression, if you're as old as I am, from the 1950s called the 1950s ballad chord progression. This is actually a lie because some songs still used it up to the early 90s, and it's the first one I taught you, which is G, E minor, C and D. If you play that with a certain rhythm, it can sound like all sorts of songs, particularly ballad songs. Like I say, it's called the 1950s ballad chord progression. So in the key of G, it is G, E minor, C and D. And they are normally played in that order as well. G, E minor, C and D. While I'm playing this, depending on your age, various songs will come to mind. So they are some of the chord progressions. So if you can learn them 4 chords, G, E minor, C, D, and learn to change them in any order. So we're just going in that way. You could do G, C, G, D, G, C, G, D, G. So just try and jump into them in different order. You can do A minor, C, A minor, D. Your main objective is to be able to change from them chords in a minute's notice, or minute. That's far too long. A fraction of a second, or a decimal of a second, I suppose I should say. So this is how you can warm up with the chords. We are just going to be strumming down for now, okay? So originally we were doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to G. So now we're going to shorten that to 2. We're going to be doing 2 strums on each one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. When you can do that, it is 1 strum, then change 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, What you can't do is this: 1, big over-exaggerated pause by me, 2, another big over-exaggerated pause, 3, and 1 more just for measure, 4. No, it's got to be like a ticking clock. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like strumming 1 bar, but you're going to be going G, E minor, C, D, G, E minor, C, D. Now again, you can start slowly and build the pace. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and eventually 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's what you can do. And by the way, you can go in any order you want: E, C minor, D, G. Mix it up. The ability is to be able to change between them 4 chords. Another thing I want to clear up, which some people say, especially when you play the ukulele, if a guitarist is playing a G, what chord do I play? Well, a G is a G is a G. Whether you're playing this on a dulcimer, a ukulele, a piano accordion, whatever instrument, a G chord is always a G chord, and a C is always a C, and a D always a D, and an E minor is always an E minor. Just because it's guitar music doesn't mean a thing. You just play the chords that are written. So if you see a Johnny Cash song with G, C, D, or a Hank Marvin song with G, C, D, or a Creedence Clearwater Revival with G, C, D, as long as you're playing a G, a C, and a D when you're meant to, that will work. So you might get, there used to be a guitar book called the Free Chord Guitar Book. It only featured the chords G, C and D. If you look up online, I'm sure you'll find it. And they did 4. One was like 50s pop, 60s pop, country, and I think folk. And you just see the chords G, C, D. Well, if you're into that type of music, buy it and just play along with the songs, because that will work. Them G, C and D, even though it's a guitar book, will work on the dulcimer. And the final thing I will finish on this video is how to finish a song in the key of G. So we're going to pretend you're on the last bar. So normally you will play G, B, G. So in the last bar, if you're on a G chord and the song is finishing D, because the 5th note in the scale of G is D, we've got a D there, and then you go back to the root. Root is G. In the key of G, the 5th note up is D, G. So that's what's called a perfect cadence. D, G, D, G. So if you're strumming that chord progression, 1, 2, 3. Hear that finish? 1 bar a D. You can finish like that. So we'll play the chord progression once, then we go back to the G, just 1 strum. Okay, so that's what you can do. There is another way to finish a song, but most of the songs you've probably ever heard is the perfect cadence. There's what's called the plagal cadence, the Amen, that you often get in hymns. That would be C, G. You may hear it, Amen. That's called the plagal cadence. You may get that in religious books, hymn books, spiritual songs, carols, that type of music, but it will always be the Amen type of songs that finish on, Amen. If it's not, it will be the perfect cadence, D, G. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Blackpool Music School for more videos. The more thumbs up we get and the more subscribers we get, the more videos we will post. So until next time, take care, keep practicing, keep playing, and as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3. Goodbye.